Okay, for today's video, we're going to try something a little bit different. I've been thinking a little bit about racing and getting back into racing, not back into racing, but like starting to ramp up for the season. And so as part of that, I've started to kind of watch back through some old footage, and I came across this great heat from Drone Racing League Season 4, Level 2. This is the finals heat from Level 4. Sorry, this is the finals heat from level 2, and it's one that I win. But I kind of want to break down some of the things that were going on with this level, what was going on like in the world as a whole, like all of the kind of like behind the scenes of what's happening at this event. Wow, that's loud. Here we go. Okay, so a couple things to note. First of all, GoPro for some reason DRL shoots with the GoPro on linear mode, so like the field of view of the GoPro is way more narrow than you're used to seeing. So what we actually see is a lot more wide. So like some of these turns you see that it's like completely blind. It's not that blind, but they were pretty blind. This event, this was in Miami at the Miami Dolphins Stadium, which is now called the Hard Rock Stadium. It's actually where the Super Bowl was played this year. This race this launch probably happened at about 3 in the morning, maybe 4 in the morning. Because we're shooting at night, we need it to be dark for the whole filming session. So we actually did a semifinal group, like right as soon as it got dark. Then we did level 1 finals, took a break, did level 2 finals. So we've already done level 1. I lost level 1. I was like 5th or something like that. And then we've moved on. We've gone and had like dinner at like 2 in the morning, and now we're like 3 heats in at 3 in the morning. And this is finals of level 2 heat 3. It's like 100 degrees, even though it's the dead of night, because this was in like June, I think, maybe May. I can't remember exactly for sure, but it was extremely hot, and it was like 90% humidity. So we're sweating. It was because we're kind of inside, but we're just basically out of the wind. So it's just stagnant hot air. So we're all just dying. But so in this heat, we just launched. I'll show you who all is in the heat. It's me, Duncan, Gab, Vanover, and Fluxy. And then not pictured as Nub, who had just crashed out before this, I think. Yeah, there it is. Come on, show me the money. Boom. So it's me, Gab, Vanover, Duncan, Fluxy, Nub. That was the podium order for this race. And so we just launched. You can see Gab is out front. And we head down this long haul. So this haul didn't seem this short when you're actually flying it. It's an eternity. Like you're just staring down the Racer 4 in front of you, just like pushing all the way down the hallway. And what was weird is that because the Racer 4 is so big, it's a 7-inch drone, 7-inch props, pushing a lot of wind behind it. You actually had to kind of draft off the side. So like, is that a person right there? No. Oh, that looked like a person for some reason. Like, does that not look like a woman is sitting right there? Anyway, what happens is because it's pushing so much dirty air back, you have to like ride off to the side of them. So like, I'm actually not doing a very good job of it right there, but like if you see like right here, I'm intentionally staying to the side of Gab, and now I'm starting to push to the right because I need to make this apex up into the corner. So you basically, when you're coming down that hallway, you cannot be pushing in. You've got to stay to the side and not get in the way of the dirty air coming off the quad. And you don't usually have big long straights like that with kind of slower machines usually at races, so like it's kind of weird to like have to like draft and like set up a pass and then like whoosh. So that's what's going on right here. So this helix climb was probably one of the hardest elements we've ever had to do in racing. Like, not that it was hard to accomplish, but hard to do it fast. So you have to go through the gate, then there's these 2 pillars, and there's a ceiling right here. So you have to stay low, and as soon as you cross that ceiling, you got to aim for this corner right here and pull up. But so now you're accelerating up, but you need to be accelerating that way. And you don't have any visual reference until you see the top of that gate. And now the only thing you see is like basically a foot high gap to get into that gate, and you have to basically aim. You have to figure out how to keep the quad from climbing, because all of your thrust right is pushing down, so the quad starts to go up, but you have to start tipping over. So you have to find this balance between like just having it like come up and push and accelerate and climb just enough so that you can go through the gate. But now because if you go through the gate that way, you're gonna go straight into that wall, and then there's another pillar right here, I believe. So if you go through that, this direction, you're going to be set up wrong. And you want to come through it with as much speed because there's another big straight coming. So you want to accelerate out of the gate. So it's like this turn is just one of the hardest turns to do, I think, in DRL history, because there was so many important aspects to it that I couldn't get right. You can see Gab is already setting it up so much better, right? He's much to my left, so that means that he's going to apex through the gate and come straight out this way, where I'm like about to fly straight into the wall. So he's really done a good job of this. I'm trying to turn. Luckily, I got my altitude right because I'm not quite climbing into it. Gab just barely goes through the top of it there, and I come through, luckily with a pretty good apex. But it's, oh man, this turn is just a pain in the butt. I think Gab had a little bit of an overcorrection. He might have had too much altitude. But you can see, again, big straight. I didn't have anybody with me in front of me on this lap. Then this is my favorite turn because it's probably the easiest one. Big left turn into the Pentagon. And then you would want to basically come out of this turn, swing a little wide to the right, and aim for the top of this diamond gate, and come through the top of it, up over the wall, and not hit this railing right here. You see that? You see how close it is? So we knew it was there, but you're just like, yeah. So like I had to, you could see me like not start the dive yet. I wanted to start the dive earlier, but I had to keep hanging on to the, like, this is full throttle pushing away from that railing because I'm like, no. And then as soon as I clear it, now the nose starts to drop to get down to the bottom of the stadium. There's a few different lines that people were taking into the stadium. You could kind of do what I do, where I went around the outside and came in. Some people tried to cut in there. But again, think of the Racer 4, you know, it's a 1.2 kilogram quad. It doesn't have that much more thrust than like a normal 5-inch. So it does not have a great thrust to weight. So if you try to send it, you know, perfectly split S into that hallway, you're likely going to hit the ground. And that happens a lot. So I came around the corner, and look how low I came through. Even with a safe line, I'm still almost hitting the corner of that gate. You can see, like, there's a prop line there, and the corner of the gate, it's like, oh god. And then because of that, because I had that bobble, now Vanover and Duncan both passed me. That's me staring down the barrel of Vanover. But for some reason, with this swatch gate, I was able to do it better than most people at this race. Just back it off slow, fly up, and then, yeah, this whole segment in here was scary. So there's trees everywhere that you can't really see very well. And as soon as, so if you have to come up, if you come out too sharp, you're going to hit, there's a tree right there. So I'm swinging around the tree. There's the tree right there, barely. And then there's this pole that's unlit straight in the middle of this parking lot. Like, I think a few people hit it. I don't think I ever did, thank goodness. That guy's truck was in high-risk situation. And then you'd have to come back into the building. So the best line that it seemed like was to, oh shoot, was to come out of the swatch gate like this direction and swing a little wide, so that when you come through this gate, you're cutting it 45 in and down the hallway. Because again, you're going to get a big straight, so you need a good run, a good exit from that turn to get down the hallway. So this particular one I'm pretty much taking it perpendicular, which is not great. I think on the next lap I do a little bit better, but then pull through, and you see, because I didn't do that, now Duncan is catching up. And we're going down this straight, and now I just got to wait for the next passing opportunity. This turn here was actually pretty difficult. You had to make sure, again, you know, I'm we're practicing not drafting him. I can't sit right behind him because of the dirty air. I'll just end up like really quickly falling back. So I'm trying to stay just to the right of him, which means I'm not on the best line. So I'm waiting to move back over to the left, get over to the left, and then cut down so that I don't hit this pillar here on the outside. But I overcorrect because I'm just, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's slow way down. And then there's another pillar here at the end of the hallway. Right there that I've got to go to the right around. And you see how bad I am set up for this turn because I had to dodge away from Duncan. So now Gab passes me. And Duncan's in front of me. And now I'm stuck on the outside line, outside of their prop wash, trying not to catch a problem. So you see, again, as soon as I can, push back over to the right side and set up for the helix climb. Now, you can see this is a little bit better turn from the beginning. There's Vanover again, Duncan, Gab. But you can see that I've got this better line coming into this gate, so I'm going to exit with a little bit more speed. Gab crashed there, and I'm kind of pulling in Vanover just a little bit. Cut that tight, up, over, flip, go down. And then, so this time, coming through the into the dive into the stadium, because I knew I was behind, I cut it a little bit tighter. So I'm trying to push it a little bit harder to get a little bit tighter to that wall so that I can get a better run down this straight to the up gate, the swatch gate. And you can see, look at his Vanover's trajectory is going to be much, much more aggressive. So he's got to go down and then over. I'm going to be pushing straight through. And then Duncan is right behind me with probably a similarly good run to me right now. So you can see Vanover goes behind. Duncan is still up there. Duncan slows down a lot for the swatch gate. I was a little bit less cautious, sent it, pushed it through. Is that my reflection? What's this, right? Yeah, look at that. There's a shadow. Sent it right through, and what is not pictured here is that Duncan and Vanover actually crash into each other and flip out. Duncan crashes out immediately. Vanover is still in the air. So on this one, I swing further. So you did, remember last time I was perfectly perpendicular. Now I'm pushing it a little bit further outside and pulling it back into the hallway. And now I don't have anybody in front of me, so I can line that turn up much better. I still didn't do a great job. Put it into the finish for the win. Crazy. Let's watch that one back. So launch, Gab's there, not drafting, get over to the side, up through the helix climb, really, really bad approach, but do what you can. Push down the hall. Somehow I ended up in first place down this first straight. I don't know how, after looking at that. And then barely missed the dive. Because of that, it's really slow. Get passed by two people. Almost hit Vanover twice up through the swatch gate, which was my strongest part of this track for some reason. And then in, but it was a little bit slow. Duncan takes the lead. Little bit of a bobble, come back around the corner. Gab takes a position over me. Then coming into the helix climb, get a really good run through the helix climb. You can see Gab crash right there. Which is the luckiest thing in the world, honestly. Whenever Gab crashes, you can see him bloop. That's actually, he runs into an antenna there, I think. And now I'm in third place behind Vanover and Duncan, waiting. I got a better run, so I caught them a little bit down that straight, and then I just go for the most perfect stadium dive that I can, past Vanover, wait for Duncan to kind of slow down, and then pass him up through the swatch gate. And then it's home free from there. It's really, really hard to catch somebody on these two straights here just because there's so little going on. There's not much complexity to it. So I figured that might be an interesting exercise to kind of break down one of my favorite heats from the 2019 season. It was a great battle between Duncan, Gab, and Vanover. I cannot wait to get back out on track and to race these guys again. It's so much fun to be flying against them and to be hanging out and all this stuff. But so I hope that you guys enjoyed this style of content. I don't know if you want to see more of this, let me know. Be sure to leave a like. I know that a lot of you guys that follow me are here for cinematography and video, but I also love racing. So I hope that you enjoyed kind of something different than usual. If you have any questions or whatever, please feel free to leave them. Be sure to subscribe, like, all that stuff, and stay flying.